Yes.
Andrew Bailey.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. It is a pleasure to be talking on the Point England Development Enabling Bill, third reading. I thought it just useful to just go back and recapture some of the essence of what this bill is about. Some of us will remember that it's the Point England Recreation Reserve.
Order. The member who keeps calling out and has done throughout this debate has just had his 10-minute call, and I would ask him not to subject the rest of the House to another 50-odd minutes of that. Thank you. Andrew Bailey.
Thank you. So the Point England Recreation Reserve comprises 45.43 hectares and includes sports grounds, walkways and other facilities for recreation. 18 hectares of this is used for grazing. The Council ministers the reserve together with an adjacent Council-owned beach reserve of just under 3 hectares. Development of the land is actually on Crown-owned land, but vested in Auckland Council as a recreational reserve. The bill enables housing to be built by creating a new land parcel. This will be rezoned residential mixed housing, urban, and it is anticipated 300 houses will be built on that area. The balance of the reserve, i.e. 32.9 hectares, will remain as a recreational reserve. Now, I understand that this bill is contentious and a lot of passions and a lot of emotions, and I was at Auckland when a number of submitters came and made submissions from that area. And I've also been here in Parliament when they've made similar submissions. So I have a good personal understanding of the concerns. Personally, I've reflected on a number of the issues that have been raised, and I'm persuaded that this development should take place. And the reason I've come to this is, the first point is there a need for housing? And I think it's absolutely overwhelming that there is, and even the opposition members acknowledge that. But we have got 13,000 sections being built in Hunua right now. If you just get off your bus and go and have a look, Mr Twyford. But this section offers the ability to build 20% of them for social housing, 20% for affordable, and the balance as market-related houses. And so the second point is we heard a number of submissions around the issue of protecting the New Zealand doctrine. And a number of the submitters were very careful and made some good points. But I'm persuaded by the local iwi, Ngāti Paoa, who have given an undertaking to improve their environment. And I also note that there will be an environmental effects assessment that will be required as part of the consent process. The third one is that the Oamaru Creek, as the Minister's just mentioned, has the lowest water quality of the 36 monitored sites in Auckland. This is a nasty piece of water that is really a bad advertisement for all New Zealand and Auckland, and it is great that the Auckland Council has committed $40 million to upgrade this scheme, and that will take part as part of this redevelopment. The fourth thing is the use of the sports fields. And again, I visited this site. I don't actually recall all the members from the opposition being there on that visit that day, but 8.4 of that is actually set aside for sports fields. And we heard from a number of them, and we've heard from officials that in many cases and during certain weather events, those sports fields are not available all the time. Part of this bill is that those sports fields in the same area will be made available not less than 12 months after the bill is passed, the 5.3 hectares of it, and the sports fields will be upgraded. And the proceeds, some of the proceeds from this change will actually be devoted to upgrading those sports fields. And finally, the issue around, is it fair and equitable that Ngāti Paoa should be given the opportunity to develop this land and to create a marae? And Mr Speaker, my view is that I find it actually slightly condescending and arrogant for opposition parties to actually suggest that Ngāti Paoa shouldn't be seeking this as redress, even though, as the Minister noted, and we heard in the committee, that they actually went to the Minister, went to the Crown as part of their commitment to see a treaty settlement. This land is absolutely essential to them. So, Mr Speaker, I'm actually persuaded on those 5 grounds that this development should proceed. I think it's going to proceed in a careful manner. I do think it's going to protect the interests of the community, but also bring about a substantial change and an increase in housing. And on that basis, Mr Speaker, I commend the bill to the House.
Whini Henare.
Reo Māori e te māngai